It's been said that good communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity.
And Bob, I also like this one that while becoming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success.
Friends and neighbors, we are so excited to officially launch UNB Live, a podcast, it's a broadcast and public affairs program all in one, where the focus is you and the information you might want to know and, frankly, need to know.
I'm Diana Boston. I'm the communications officer for Upper Nicola Band. He is Bob Price, senior consultant. And together we are hosting UNB Live with a show every 2 weeks with vital information, enlightening guests who play an important role in all aspects of Upper Nicola.
Over the last several months, we really have come to learn that for Upper Nicola members, knowledge is far more than power. It's critical to ensuring quality of life and with the help of information that will make a huge difference in everyday lives.
So let's get into it with the opening segment, which we're calling the rundown.
We'll talk about building for the future, folks. So much going on the UNB development scene, the recent opening of the new housing project at Douglas Lake, the groundbreaking for that much wanted community center in Quilchena. Pretty exciting times, Diana.
Yes, very exciting. We have a new SHIAP place, which is the 26 unit housing unit, and we have members moving in as we speak. They're getting to move in and get their certain places. It is a First Nations in BC and Canada to actually work with the provincial and federal government to have affordable housing for youth, young families, elders, and any other members. And we also do have that new building, but I'm not going to speak too much on that. But it's going to house the admin team, the Kusum Tima, and many community events. So stay tuned because we're going to get a professional kitchen.
But one of the things that I find most impressive about the Upper Nicola is the unwavering respect for and the importance that is placed on the well being of elders and members in general. Always something going on that front. And most recently, now financial aid available to help folks pursue a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, as of April 1st, we have our third rec policy going to effect. So any band member is eligible for up to a $300 credit and reimbursement, not credit, sorry, my bad, a reimbursement so that they can get some sort of recreational item, whether it be a paddleboard, whether it be a life jacket, whether it be running shoes, hiking shoes, crafts, beading, anything. And if you have any questions about it, just contact me.
And it's going to be very easy to contact you. We're going to get into more about that in a bit. But, speaking of healthy lifestyles, Diana, besides everything else, every other hat that you wear, and I know that you're involved in many pursuits, you're also highly involved with the Grandmothers Group, led by Carol Holmes, now organizing a Women's Wellness Day.
Yes, that is a very exciting day, especially for me being a female woman. That being a mother and part of the grandmothers group, the Kustem Tima every year holds a Women's Wellness Day, and this year it's on May 11th, and it is an 18 plus event so that mothers, grandmothers, aunties, sisters, anything coming down and get your pedicures, your manicures, get your eyebrows done, get your hair done. There's so many events. You can even make lipstick and there's a lot of things. And the Kustum Tima is led by Carol Holmes. And I can't wait to have her on the show soon, Bob.
Very soon, of course. Now, as well, unfortunately, I wish we did, but we don't have time to recap everything in that community newsletter. So we really do encourage members to check it out, be up to date with all the goings on in the community, including the job postings. So important. Help is not just wanted, it is also critically needed for the ongoing success of Upper Nicola.
As mentioned, UNB Live will have a special guest to dig a little deeper into the issues and happenings affecting members. And who better here to help kick things off than the man himself? The conversation is up next with Upper Nicola Band Chief Dan Manuel.
The community's priorities are my priorities. The words of our first guest for this inaugural edition of UNB Live as Chief Dan Manuel was quoted in the Merit Herald back in March of last year. Now, here we are, 13 months into a 3 year term. The chief really has been a champion of information and transparency, determined that the more members know about their community, the better the community will be, and for the entire band to work towards a common goal. Chief, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diana and Bob.
We've really been looking forward to this. You're a busy guy, and we have a few questions for you. So I'm going to give the first one to Diana.
Hey, Chief. So, talk to us about the importance of sharing as you've really promoted this increased focus on communications.
Well, thanks, Diana. It's like uh, like you said, communication is one of the keys, not identified by our council or administration, but by community members themselves. Going back several years into our strategic plans, we can see that communication has always been an important issue in the community. How we provide information, when we provide information. We've really, like everywhere, had challenges at times, but I think we're generally doing a great job in providing that information. We've had obviously this communication strategy, including development of the So You Know broadcast, I guess, is it? And a deeper dive into the newsletters with the correct information, I guess, or reasonable information. So there's all kinds of ways we're working, and we had talked about communication strategies as being one of the key drivers for our council this term, and we're really hopeful that by the end of this term we have a even more than we're doing now, that we're communicating in different ways, exploring different options for communication, I think is key. Bringing in new technologies, that was a big part of our drive to get access to fiber optics for broadband internet service into both Spuckman and in Kailsmith, so that we can provide better options for communication. Because again, you need good, high quality uh, internet. And so, as we're moving through this space, we're going to be looking at ways of utilizing that technology to increase opportunities for communication, which I'm really excited about. And I want you to watch this space, because there's some developments coming up ahead of us that we're going to be excited to announce when the time is right.
Diana, I think he just hinted about a scoop that we'll get in the future. Uh, Chief, we were talking about development, exciting construction projects, Douglas Lake Housing, as we referred to off the top. Also now the new Quilchena Community Center. Very, very aggressive approach to development on band land.
Yeah, we've seen over the years. I've been involved with the both the band administration and government now for um, going on close to 30 years, well over 20 years. Um, we've seen a lot of development in the community side around the infrastructure. We've had projects like the Upper Nicola School Gym. We've had the Stewart water main. We've had AC water main replacements. We've had the Colchana community water system upgrades, all of which have, is culminating in really access to increased housing availability on reserve. So we have done projects through both CMHC, social housing program for Section 95, which has been a few years. But we've also worked with the First Nations Market Housing Fund to develop capacity and resources within the community that really enabled us to, alongside with actually enabling community members to benefit from direct access to lending under that program to build houses. And, we can see the result of those by the houses that are currently being occupied by community members within the community. But as we've been doing that, we've also been working on capacity in development of important policies related to housing, land allocation, membership, etc. Um, all of which has enabled us to be able to be prepared when the province issued a call for proposals under the uh, First Nations on Reserve Housing program that was funded through BC Housing. Um, and again, as Diana correctly stated, we were one of the first communities in British Columbia uh, to be approved for the program, which has resulted in 26 units now being ready for occupancy by community members up here in Spuckman at Sia Place, a project being operated by the Upper Nicola Band Housing Society, which will operate for in excess of 40 years. They're providing affordable quality homes for uh, 26 families, which I think is very, very exciting.
Steve, I also think you correctly pointed out something else, that development has a couple of aspects. What we see, but also what we don't see is very important. The infrastructure, the sewage, the water systems, none of the stuff gets built on top until it gets built on the underneath.
Exactly. So things take time. Is a good example to see a place. That project was underway for almost 20 years. The first enabling piece of infrastructure that was put in the ground to enable the building of that was constructed in around 2004 or 2005. It was called the Stewart Water Main, and it was actually the extension of the water system from over here by the band office in Spuckman right down towards the residences to the east of the band office. So, if we hadn't completed that project many years ago, we wouldn't be in a position to be having houses down there right now. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
and that being said, that's the other process that we have is really looking at. Now we have to start looking at, well, what other areas are we going to identify? Our 1995 physical development plan, I think, is pretty much all built out now, with save for the exception of
Yeah.
two projects, one of them being road improvements and the other being water treatment on IR3 at Douglas Lake or Spuckman.
Chief, sadly, no community in this country has escaped the lasting heartbreak associated with the opioid crisis. In the latest federal budget, 150 million committed over the next 3 years for an emergency treatment fund supporting municipalities and indigenous communities dealing with the opioid situation. What's your response to that? And also, how do you feel in general about the response to what we've watched over the last few years in this opioid tragedy?
It really is heartbreaking to see the impacts of colonial trauma played out in our communities across the country. Having had the opportunity to speak on occasion to the issues related to the opioid epidemic and the toxic drug crisis, I'm always mindful to express the importance of understanding the impacts or the causes of these issues, not just looking at the immediate impacts, I guess. And we really have to address long-term colonial trauma as a means. When we look at the ongoing issues are in the mental health crisis as well, right, that are leading to these things. We really need more resources and access to immediate resources. I'm advocating with on our community's behalf to see an increase in treatment beds immediately with immediate needs and immediate openings or immediate availability of those treatment facilities for
Yeah.
community members when they express a desire to seek out that sort of treatment. So there's a lot to go into it, but I'm uh, I'm 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 hopeful that we see some results. I'm really again dismayed that at the same time is recognizing that that the drivers behind this opioid epidemic include access to affordable housing on reserves. We see cutbacks in both uh, in housing funding as well as infrastructure funding on reserves across the board. Just recently, the FN, along with Indigenous Services Canada, released a report entitled "Closing the Infrastructure Gap," which called for 500 or $350 billion by 2030 to address immediate needs for infrastructure on reserves. That, when we look at the recent federal budget, less than 1% of that total ask has been funded in the current budget. So long
So
ways
many
to go.
so many of these issues so intertwined, aren't they? They really are, like as you referred to. Diana?
So after an extremely mild and relatively snowless winter, there's been a lot of concern about drought and wildfires. What should members know about any emergency preparedness plans?
Well, definitely going to be a concern this year. I think the last numbers I looked at were we were sitting at about 60% of normal snowpack above of the Nicola here, above Upper Nicola. We rely on snowpilla data that's collected at Brenda Lake or Brenda Mine. And, it's not looking good. We just have to look out the windows of our houses here in the community to see that there's not much snow. Where normally we'd be seeing little bits of drips and drabs of snow remaining, even close here in Spuckman. Um, so that being said, we recognize that in the absence of any meaningful uh, moisture coming down in the springtime, which is a possibility. That being said, though, if it doesn't happen, it can lead to compounding issues in terms of emergencies and things like wildfires and droughts. In order to be prepared, of course, we work closely with EMBC, Emergency Management BC, and First Nations Emergency Services, along with our funding partners at Indigenous Services
Mhm.
Canada, to be prepared and to participate in regional planning exercises as well as regional information sharing. So we are really plugged in, I guess, to the information as it comes, and always looking at ways of mitigating. It's a part of the work that we've been doing this spring to mitigate some of the wildfire concerns. Is really encouraging and actively assisting community members with the grass burning that we all do, and we do it during the spring months. So we've worked with Wildland or Wildfire BC, the Wildland Fire Crews, have been instrumental in assisting us in some of those burn activities on reserve over the last several weeks. So we're really thankful for that, and really hoping that the work that we've done may help to, I guess, limit any real potential if things do get bad with dry conditions throughout the spring and the hot summer, which will, if we see those, we want to be prepared. And of course, emergency operations center is always prepared and ready to go when called on. if there are any concerns or any emergencies, a declaration, is it can be had in short order that would allow us to implement our emergency management plan and protect the community.
Chief, fingers crossed for what they call the June gloom, right? Here's hoping. I mean, it can rain in May, but we really need those rains in June to ensure a safer summer on the wildfire front and in general the drought conditions. I mean, a drought is not going to be cured with a couple of weeks of rain. I mean, it is bone dry out there in so many localities. I have another question for you, and we're going to let you go here shortly, but I just a couple of other matters. You know, you're now back as chief. You have something you're most proud of in this latest term? It's still 13 months in, but do you have something you're really quite proud of?
I'm proud to be from Upper Nicola. I'm proud to be a member of this community. And what I'm most proud of is our members. Our members' resilience. I speak with and interact with members on a regular basis, and I'm really humbled and amazed at our resilience that we continue to smile at each other and uh, share share good stories and laughs, when we come together and really engage with each other about the activities that we're undergoing. So for me, that's what it's about, is really connecting with members.
Diana, we'll give you the final question.
Might be a little bit difficult there, Chief. So obviously, with your job as chief, there's no shortage of any stress. So what keeps you going? What inspires you and what drives you to keep going on such an important role?
Well, like I said, I do this work for the community. I believe that um, to serve effectively as chief, it's not about elevation to the role. It's about call to service, and I'm a servant of the community and the people. I believe wholeheartedly in each one of our members, and especially the young people. I'm a grandfather. I'm a father. Uh, I'm an uncle. I'm a I'm a I'm a son. I'm a nephew, and so I know the connectedness of families. And uh, I'm really hopeful that this era of reconciliation that is promised by all levels of government and citizens alike in the general population of this country, that we can see a meaningful change in our place that results in even better outcomes for our children, uh, and our children's children.
Chief Dan Manuel, our inaugural guest on this inaugural edition of UNB Live. Thank you for being here, sir. Much, much appreciated.
Thanks again, Bob and Diana. I'm happy to be here.
So that's going to do it for this first edition of UNB Live, produced with the help of Mastermind Studios of Kamloops. They're going to hopefully make us all look good. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And of course, we always want your feedback.
Yes, any comments, questions, or even guest suggestions, just send them on over to me. My email is communications@uppernicola.com.
And so until next time, when our guest is going to be Upper Nicola Band Administrator Colette Sunday, who's at the center of pretty much every issue and process that band members face, we thank you for watching.
Bye.
Ashley hi hi tam hula